Google parent company Alphabet reported a 22% surge in first quarter revenue as the artificial intelligence race fuels growth of its cloud business. Alphabet's sales reached about 110 billion, exceeding analyst expectations. Net income was 62.6 billion, an 81% increase compared with the same period of the year earlier. That for me is just absolutely insane. And I remember saying ages ago when we were talking about more when it was the Gemini, the Gemini is crushing right now and it's better than Claude and it's better than like Codex. I'm not sure if Codex was out at the time, but it became very apparent, I think, that this thing will just be printing money. Like they have an infinite money machine in the ads business. They're completely verticalized, like across the whole stack. All those numbers looked good across the board for basically everyone, but only Google's stock bounced. Only Google stock went up. It was up like 4.5% on the day. Every single other one dropped, which I'm not surprised. There are alternating factors here going on, obviously, with Microsoft. Their OpenAI partnership has loosened. Meta, I think it was pretty great. Everything was all above board. Amazon, the same thing. Everything was pushing up. But for some reason, the markets didn't respond in a way that one would think from...
Yeah. Again, it's the CapEx stuff, right? It's the main question is, we're now in industrialization phase. We are not in, hype and AI kind of experimentation phase. That's over, right? It's now the core tension between all this huge CapEx spend. All of the Mag 7 are north of $100 billion in CapEx. I'm pretty sure like Amazon it's Google, Microsoft, and Amazon are all guiding towards $175 to $200 billion in CapEx, which is bonkers. But it is that tension between that CapEx spend and actually realizing revenue. Like what is moving the needle? The ads businesses are absolutely crushing. Amazon's ads business is almost at $100 billion. They did $68 billion in 25, and they're crushing it. They've had a very good start to 2026. But all of the legacy stuff like search is up, e-commerce is up, everything, right? So it's like integration of AI into search has been positive. So this is like a huge kind of tailwind. Google Cloud 48% up in annualized run rate. It's now at $70 billion. Search is up 17%. YouTube ads up 9%. So it is just bonkers.
Can I just quickly say, I have noticed on the YouTube ads.
Yeah.
Do you have a YouTube Premium? No. I don't either. I've never had it.
I don't think anyone has YouTube Premium.
No, apparently people like I know a few people that have it.
What do you get?
No ads. You buy it and you have no ads.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. Wait, what? That's what. Yeah.
I don't know. I
pay to get rid of the ads.
I've genuinely just not even like thought of.
It's super cheap. And it's like I don't know, £3, £4 a month. It's like absolutely fine to buy. I just haven't bought it because I'm just like, I can just kind of get through it with the, it's just an ad and you skip it and it's fine.
I quite like Google Ads.
I am indifferent.
Anyway, yeah. So Google absolutely crushing it. Revenues at $113 billion or $114 billion, basically. Now I was talking about Microsoft.
There's a great quote here from Sundar Pichai.
Please.
It goes. It's literally taken from the calls. AI is lighting up every part of the business.
Let's go.
Which is awesome. But there's some more stuff on here for the.
No, please.
TPUs. So it's like you've mentioned cloud division doing really well. The company said its cloud backlog growth was driven by demand for its enterprise AI tools and its custom chips, known as the tensor processing units or TPUs. It expects to record about half of the backlog as revenue over the next 2 years. I saw a chart on this, and the graph was just insane in terms of the backlog. It was like steady growth, and then there's just an insane spike just last year. These strong results reinforce our conviction to invest the capital required to continue to capture the AI opportunity, and that Ash Kenzie, financial CFO, told investors and analysts on Wednesday. We expect our 2027 capex to significantly increase compared to 2026, which is nuts, which is so nuts, because those capex announcements essentially broke the internet in terms of there has never been a project in which this much money has been deployed on a single thing in the history of the world. It like, I saw a hilarious tweet the other day that was like on the run up to the earnings calls. I think like Kalshi or something, or Polymarket had put out like Meta, Google, Amazon, Microsoft.
Up 17% total revenue at $81 billion. Azure is a big chunk of that. It is their kind of primary like AI growth, up 39%, which is actually bonkers. Microsoft Cloud is like a total, it's just surpassed $50 billion in quarterly revenue, 26 is up 26%. The GitHub Copilot is up 60%.
Was reached 82.9 billion, 18% increase from March quarter a year ago. Net income was 13.8 billion. Both sales and net income exceeded Wall Street expectations. This is from Xavier Martinez over at the WSGA, by the way. CFO of Microsoft said, broad and growing customer demand continues to exceed supply. We remain confident in the return on these investments. And then Satya, Microsoft CEO, has sought to transform the company into an AI powerhouse in recent years. Azure, its cloud computing platform, has become the infrastructure backbone for AI startup OpenAI and other companies building AI applications. But Azure revenue growth slowed in the company's last quarterly earnings report, and its data center push has struggled to keep pace with demand. Just on that as well, we'll cover it later with Kaushik, who's going to come on and discuss this. But obviously, OpenAI and Microsoft did loosen their partnership. We spoke about this on Tuesday, I think. I'm not sure if we even got to it in the end, actually, because it was such a busy show.
We didn't, but their last, so like the biggest number is Microsoft's remaining performance obligations. It was listed at $625 billion in the last earnings. It's up 110%. And of that, 45% of that is OpenAI.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's still a lot of distribution type thing.
This week, Microsoft and OpenAI signed a revised agreement that offers OpenAI more freedom to partner with Microsoft rivals, caps the amount of revenue it must share with the software giant through to 2030, and removes a controversial clause in prior agreements. Microsoft, meanwhile, will retain access to the startups' models and products. So not a direct rip coming towards like revenue share at 2030.
As I mentioned, right, it's still like 40, it was almost 50% in a distribution type thing. So yeah, it's still a lot.
Microsoft stock is down.
It is. But anyway, let's move on. Talk about Amazon. Amazon, what's growing? Total net sales is growing by 14%, $213 billion. AWS is also growing. It had its fastest growth in 13 quarters. It's now doing $35.6 billion in revenue. It's up 24%. Their ads business, which is one of the things that a lot of people don't realize that they have.
I didn't know this was
it's pushing $100 billion, dude. It's absolutely bonkers. It was doing, I think it did $68 billion last year. It's now up 23% by $21.3 billion. So it's getting there. It could be and that $100 billion is money that they can spend on more kind of AI implementation, experimentation. As we mentioned, the industrialization of this thing, right? It's like these software companies are not now, they're not necessarily just software companies. Google has its TPUs. They're trying to get away from just being hamstrung almost by NVIDIA. Not that they're bad chips. NVIDIA's chips are the best, but it's more the price. How can they do this cheaper? How can they get compute cheaper? And any little bit of margin is billions of dollars worth of that. And you can see that in the capex, right? The 2026 guide for Amazon is $200 billion, which is the highest in the Mag 7.
Wow.
Which is like actually staggering, considering it was like a big thing that they're all over $100 billion, and now this thing's like Amazon just doubled it. $200 billion. Let's go. Amazon are crushing.
Chief Executive Andy Jassy, my boy, said that revenue from the company's Amazon Web Services grew 28%, the fastest pace since 2022, in part because many customers building new AI agents want them stored in the same spot where they maintain their other cloud services and data. Revenue for the period rose 17% to $181.5 billion, while net profit increased a sharp 77% to $30.3 billion, which Amazon attributed to a pre-tax income from its investment in Anthropic. Both figures beat analyst estimates according to FactSet. Few more figures. The company forecast revenue for the second quarter of between 194 billion and 199 billion. Oh, surely just ran that up to a cool 200, Why leave a little lone Billy there? And an operating profit of between 20 billion and 24 billion. The company said capital spending in the first quarter was 43.2 billion, primarily on AWS and generative AI. For the full year, Amazon has said it would spend 200 billion, a 60% increase from 2025. These numbers are nuts. And in a weird way, I know the stocks have reacted negatively to everyone apart from Google, but it's kind of working.
Yeah. Well, okay, look, so the key question still, you can see with the CapEx spend, right? There's still the key question and the key tension. Will all of this result to, realized revenue? And how does it do that? So it's like, is it proprietary distribution? Is the how much more of this AI spend are we going to be able to squeeze more like ad dollars out of the system?
I think there's probably potential for. We saw Meta announce that they were rolling out like thousands of like fiber technician training jobs, right? A couple of weeks back, we saw that move. Saying okay, they're moving as far downstream as they can possibly go to literally building the things that they are constrained by, whether that's like data centers, compute, energy, whatever it is. I would not be surprised if we see, all these other players start to do something similar.
Yeah.
I mean, the stakes are too high to not like hedge for that. I think.
Yeah.
Like, they just have to deploy this sovereign quotation marks trend
back into
roll through. But we're seeing it here, even microcosmically, right? All these companies, no one wants to be constrained on someone else. Like the stakes are so high with this thing that everyone needs to own their own distribution. We're seeing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right?
Countries,
software companies aren't software companies anymore. They are.
Well, they're like countries.
Software hyperscalers, particularly, aren't. They are industrialized. They are becoming. Industrial manufacturers of said things so that they can produce and software at the cheapest possible.
And they have to act like this because these guys are running businesses that have larger GDPs than some countries.
Indeed. They do. Framer, build better sites faster. Go to framer.com/ETN.
This is from Megan Bobrowski over at WSJ. A nice rundown of Meta's earning reports. Meta reports big revenue jump and projected spending increase.
Yes.
Shock. Same as everyone else. Sales grew 33% in the first quarter to 56.3 billion. Company raises CapEx outlook. Again, this is what we're seeing in every single one, basically, as component prices rise. Platforms reported revenue increased 33% in the first quarter. Its biggest year-over-year quarterly revenue jump in nearly 5 years. But it said it would spend even more money to build out AI data centers this year than it had previously forecast.
Higher earnings, higher spend.
This is it. The company said it brought the 56.3 billion in sales and net income, 26.8 billion. Both sales and net income came in ahead of analyst expectations, although 8 billion of net income was the result of a tax benefit the company realized in the first quarter of the year. Meta increased its projected capital spending for the year by 10 billion to a new range of 125 to 145 billion, citing expectations for higher component pricing and additional data center costs.
This is absolutely insane. When I was doing when I was doing some research and all of this was coming out, Meta was the outlier because they don't technically like sell AI. What they do, they use AI to make ads, listen to this, 6% more expensive and 18% more frequent. And therefore like cleanest, obviously like Meta has the cleanest path to monetization. As what I just said, they have one of the two of the best distribution platforms in the world to be able to distribute ads. But they're using AI to make it more expensive, more frequent. Super interesting.
There's a great part from Zuck here. So Meta chief executive Mark Zuckerberg, who by the way is now physically working alongside some of these engineers. He's getting stuck in. He's back in the trenches. There was a great piece, I think, a few weeks back again from the WSJ saying that he's back in sort of not manager mode, not founder mode. He's in engineer mode. He's like back to doing what he loves to do, which is great. We love that. But Meta Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg addressed the CapEx increase on a call with analysts and investors Wednesday, attributing the higher component cost to the pricing of memory chips, which are in high demand at the moment. We've seen this with the sensational rise of SanDisk Corp, of Samsung as well, reporting insane quarterly revenue numbers, all connected to these memory chips. There's an account on X called Zephyr. If you haven't followed him, please do. He literally called and wrote a thesis for the SanDisk price increases when they were at like $60 about 9 months ago. He wrote like a full thread on why SanDisk was about to like explode,
right,
citing that like if we're able to properly sort out generative video past 5 seconds, we will see that would be reliant on specific memory chips. Then obviously we have gone ahead and done that. Generative video can now span multiple minutes. And we have seen SanDisk go crazy. He literally called it and wrote a thesis as to why this would happen. It's a really great account. But a quote from Mark: "Every sign that we're seeing in our own work and across the industry gives us confidence in this investment," he said. That said, we are very focused on increasing the efficiency of our investments. Meta recently extended the life of some of its servers to deal with a shortage of memory chips. Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google had already announced plans to collectively spend more than $650 billion to build our AI infrastructure this year. That's what was previously announced, which is insane. More than the cost of the Apollo space program, US interstate highway system, and the US railroad build out in the 1850s. Which I think the US railroad build out in the 1850s was one of the most, like the highest margin investments of all time based off the gross revenues that were attributed to that initial investment, which is insane. Meta's previous projected spending this year was already a big jump from its $72 billion in capital expenditures last year. The increase in spending comes as the industry is facing a computing power crunch. In a response to a question on the investor call about 2027 spending plans, Meta's finance chief, Susan Lee, didn't offer specifics. Our experience so far has been that we have underestimated our compute needs, which seems to be the same for everyone, even as we have been ramping capacity significantly, she said. So our expectation is that compute will become even more central to the business going forward. Meta has been ramping up its AI efforts, both in terms of training new models and getting its 70,000 plus workforce to use AI more in their daily jobs. And then obviously connected to what we mentioned in terms of like they're going downstream, they're like leaning into like the industrial aspect of this. Like let's literally just pay and train people to build more of these things that we can then own and then use. And they also mentioned MuseSpark in here, which is probably worth bringing up. But the company released its first new model since it overhauled its AI teams last summer and named Alexander Wang as its chief AI officer. The model, called MuseSpark, was released in early April, and it's competitive with models from other leading labs, according to evaluations from both Meta and outside testers.
It's the infrastructure for the on-chain world. Go to base.org.
Let's go into the trial.
Let's go into another war that's happening. The FT came out with an article yesterday titled "Elon Musk Claims Sam Altman Stole a Charity in OpenAI Trial Testimony." The billionaire says it is dangerous to have someone who is not trustworthy in charge of AI.
So even upon arrival of the trial, a meme has circulated where there are obviously those like security scanners, like airport scanners that you have to go through, and they check you for whatever, if you have like a weapon or anything metal on you.
Yeah.
The clip that came out was Musk walks into the room, and then there is, the scanners, and Musk just walks like around the scanner. Like he just doesn't go through the scanner, but he's kind of like escorted, like someone's like that and they're telling him to go. So everyone's like, why does he not have to go through the scanner? There's obviously, I'm assuming, been some sort of like pre-check, or he's just returning from like a break or something. But already this stuff has been coming out. Both parties have agreed that this wouldn't be like a public thing. Like no one can have their phones or anything. No one can talk about the like the interworkings of what's going on right now in the trial. A bunch of memes coming off the back of that Elon is like pulling his hair out because he famously tweets. I think it's like it used to be a tweet every like 15 minutes every day.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Now he's calmed down a bit more, but. So he's kind of pulling his hair out that he can't publicize this.
Let's quickly read some of the article. So Elon Musk told a jury that OpenAI and its chief executive, Sam Altman, stole a charity by converting the AI lab into a for-profit entity now valued at $850 billion against its mission of ensuring AI would benefit humanity. He said, fundamentally, the defendants are trying to make this lawsuit seem very complicated, but it is actually very simple. It is not okay to steal a charity, the world's richest man said in a court in Oakland, California on Tuesday. Altman and Greg Brockman, OpenAI's president, sat in the court as attorneys presented opening arguments in a high-stakes legal clash over the world's most valuable startup. Stephen Molo, Musk's lead trial lawyer, likened OpenAI to a non-profit museum with a gift shop, saying the museum store cannot sell the Picasso and pocket the profits. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So a lot of evidence is starting to being brought forward as well from this, and The Verge has covered this incredibly well. This is from the author. I'm not sure is on this, but there have been like a number of exhibits, let's say, that have been brought forward, and they kind of list out the exhibits that have been brought forward. So this is exhibit number 7 in an October 2015 email exchange between Altman and Musk. Altman suggests starting with $100 million commitment by Musk and asked if he could donate an additional $30 million over the next 5 years. He says Bill Gates isn't yet committed to donating, but what he hopes to have him locked down next week, adding that he believes Mark Zuckerberg likely won't come through due to his own AI lab, Facebook AI Research, FAIR. He also suggests that he and Musk start as the first 2 members of the safety board, with the potential to add 3 other members over the following year, calling it the second key for releasing anything that could be dangerous. Musk's response: let's discuss governance. This is critical. I don't want to fund something that goes in what turns out to be the wrong direction, which we ultimately, in his mind, believes is what happened, considering he's funded it at pre-seed, seed, A and B, I think, and is now kind of being left out.
The Verge.
The Verge was giving us examples of evidence brought up in the Musk OpenAI trial. So we did exhibit number 7. We will now go to exhibit number 12. So in a November 2015 email exchange between Musk and Altman, the two discuss plans for the forthcoming AI lab. Musk starts off by recounting a great call with Greg Brockman, that is in quotation marks, by the way, and saying he's, in quotation marks again, super impressed with everyone so far, calling it a great team. He suggests creating the lab as an independent pure play 501c3, but with a crystal clear focus on the positive advent of strong AI distributed widely to humanity. He says the company would still aim to bring in revenue in excess of cost at some point, but positive net revenue would just flow to cash reserves. With regards to compensation for employees, Musk suggests a cash salary and certain bonuses. He says that if Altman is amenable, employees could convert cash to stock in Y Combinator, adding that it's fine if they'd rather convert some or all to SpaceX stock instead. I can pretty much do what I want on the SpaceX side, as it is private. Thank goodness, Musk writes. It's not going to be for much longer, pal. So nuts. He also offers insane amounts of real-world sensor data from Tesla for the AI lab to use, mentioning that the amount of data is several orders of magnitude greater than any other company. Musk's first stab at a name for the AI lab is FreeMind, as he says it conveys the sense that we are trying to create digital intelligence that will be freely available to all, the opposite of DeepMind's one ring to rule them all approach, in quotation marks. It's so nuts how back then, like, I know we spoke about this with Sebastian, but DeepMind, like, part of OpenAI's, like, I guess, marketing ploy in the way to position itself against DeepMind as like a competitive lab was to frame it as the evil AI, like, corporation owned, like Google owned, like, you know, they're holding AI for themselves, and it's just so. Yeah, you've been super fascinated about the inception of OpenAI was meant to be the for good. It's just that you couldn't write it, right? It's like a Shakespearean novel. And now it's kind of completely flipped, and Demis has come out as the one that truly cares about humanity. I don't think I've ever seen anyone like talk bad on Demis. See, this was exhibit number 12. That was kind of a long one. This is exhibit number 16. Seems to be a bit of a shorter one. We're seeing these live for the first time, by the way. OpenAI official articles of incorporation filed December 8th, 2015. The document states that OpenAI, quotation marks, shall be a non-profit corporation organized exclusively for charitable purposes. and that its purpose is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity, including by conducting and or funding artificial intelligence research. The corporation may also research and or otherwise support efforts to safely develop and distribute such technology and its associated benefits, including analyzing the societal impacts of the technology and supporting related educational, economic, and safety policy research and initiatives. So this is all getting brought up in core. There were a few more comments around how Musk is jousting with the individuals who are asking him the questions, like the lawyers that they've put in place. I found a really funny tweet from Logan Brown Logan actually initially, it is a retweet of Nick's tweet first, so we can just have a look at this. Nick has an ongoing thing with Sam Altman and OpenAI, which has been like really fascinating and funny to follow. But this is essentially a conversation between Musk and OpenAI's lawyer.
Is that Sam in the drawing? The guy like on the bottom right?
I haven't scrolled. I'm sure I've seen, so I'll
Why does he look so surprised?
So this is William Savit, where Watchell Lipton's lead defense lawyer, Supreme Court clerk, trained to break witnesses. This is from Nick. Savit opens with a misleading premise. Musk, you're being misleading. What you're saying is false. Savit tries again with a different loaded frame. Musk, your questions are not simple. They are designed to trick me. Savit demands a yes or no answer to a complicated question. Musk says, if you ask a question where there is no possible simple answer, I must give a longer answer because any simple answer would be misleading the jury. And this is when Musk comes into his flow. Musk reaches for an analogy. The classic answer to a yes or no question is not so simple. For example, if you ask the question, will you stop beating your wife? Judge Gonzalez Rogers cuts him off. No, we're not going to go there. The courtroom laughs. Savit apologizes for the question. Musk says, I find it funny you saying it wasn't an unfair question since you're only asking unfair questions. Savit says, I'm doing my best. Musk tells him that is not true.
Is that Sam in the drawing? The guy like on the bottom right?
I haven't scrolled. I'm sure I've seen, so
Why does he look so surprised?
So this is William Savit, where Watchell Lipton's lead defense lawyer, Supreme Court clerk, trained to break witnesses. This is from Nick. Savit opens with a misleading premise. Musk, you're being misleading. What you're saying is false. Savit tries again with a different loaded frame. Musk, your questions are not simple. They are designed to trick me. Savit demands a yes or no answer to a complicated question. Musk says, if you ask a question where there is no possible simple answer, I must give a longer answer because any simple answer would be misleading the jury. And this is when Musk comes into his flow. Musk reaches for an analogy. The classic answer to a yes or no question is not so simple. For example, if you ask the question, will you stop beating your wife? Judge Gonzalez Rogers cuts him off. No, we're not going to go there. The courtroom laughs. Savit apologizes for the question. Musk says, I find it funny you saying it wasn't an unfair question since you're only asking unfair questions. Savit says, I'm doing my best. Musk tells him that is not true. And Nick finishes off, OpenAI's lawyer came to break Musk, but Musk wasn't having it. And then Logan Brown retweets this and says, Elon lawyer stories are my absolute favorite. He hates them. Fair. Every store or interaction between him and a lawyer is amazing. In his Twitter depot, he didn't know who was suing him. Thought the lawyer was the plaintiff. In the depot, he went off on many tangents, including an observation that even if something looks like a donut, could it be a bagel? And an intricate description of cat memes. Cooley hired the SEC lawyer that investigated him for his 420 remarks. He threatened to fire Cooley as counsel across his companies. They didn't fire the former SEC lawyer. So for Musk to joust with these lawyers, it is not a new thing. He does like to. He's a man of fact, of logical sense. Usually in these types of conversations, where he's very okay with having a conversation and completely breaking down all societal norms of where maybe someone would typically avoid conflicts. They'd probably try and diffuse the situation quite quickly. Musk will sit there and wait to bring out the truth, as painfully socially excruciating as it may be.
That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. Leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex. Go to airwallex.com. We will see you next week on Tuesday. Bye.
See you then.